Tonight on the docket, America's third war. It isn't enough for the president, for the secretary of state, and for the war hawks in Washington that this country is ensnarled in two illegal wars, one in Iraq and one in Afghanistan, wars that have cost at least $1 trillion, wars that have killed thousands of Americans and an untold number of foreign innocent civilians. They want more bloodshed. For weeks, Libyan rebels have been fighting to overthrow their brutal dictator, Colonel Gaddafi. Yet all of a sudden, the international community has decided to intervene violently, and the U.S. won't be left behind. President Obama and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton have led us into a third unethical and non-defensive conflict, this one in Libya. This is unquestionable proof that when it comes to war, there is little difference between Republicans and Democrats. Both parties' leadership are power-hungry and bloodthirsty, as there is no logical, ethical, or reasonable argument, certainly no lawful argument, for our wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, and now Libya. But let's not forget, this action is brazenly unconstitutional. Congress did not declare war on Libya. And what you may not know is that more time was spent at the Constitutional Convention when they wrote it in 1787, debating who or what the new government would initiate rather than on war. On no other topic was discussed more than war. It is clear beyond dispute that the Constitution says only Congress can declare war. And war can only mean the governmental use of military assets for violence. Ask anyone on the ground, even Western journalists, if firing 120 Tomahawk missiles is not an act of war. Only completely perverted logic could conclude that our actions in Iraq and Afghanistan and now Libya are not acts of war that constitutionally require a formal declaration by the Congress. Here now, one of America's strongest critics of wars of opportunity, a true champion of liberty, Texas Republican Congressman Ron Paul. Congressman Paul, welcome to Freedom Watch.
Thank you, Judge.
Well, why would the President of the United States go to the UN Security Council and not the Congress to get approval to wage war in Libya?
I think he philosophically believes in one world government. He wants to keep nudging us in that direction. I don't believe that he has a conviction that national sovereignty has any value. So therefore, if they can diminish the Congress, and if he diminishes the Congress and he can get his authority from the United Nations, this enhances what he believes in. But he's not alone. You know, the leadership in both parties have been nudging in that direction for a long time.
Well, why are the leadership in both parties, particularly Congressman Paul, the congressional leadership, not protecting congressional turf? Why isn't Congress or Speaker Boehner saying, you can't do this, only we can do it? You didn't even come to us. You went to those characters on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Who's there besides you and Congressman Kucinich to protect the constitutional prerogatives of the Congress?
Well, we have a few more, but our numbers are small. We tried to do something last week about bringing troops out of Afghanistan. Our numbers are growing, but at the same time, we barely have a number worth anything to get us out of Afghanistan. Here we are getting ready to start another one. Now, this is a real conundrum to think of all the effort the founders went to make the Congress the most important body, that they are the most willing to give up their prerogatives and give it to the executive branch and the judicial branch, and onward and onward. Our leaderships in the House, as long as I've been there, have always deferred to the executive branch. And it's on both sides, either Republican or Democratic president, they seem to enhance their power. And, you know, we can complain and moan, which I do all the time, about the dereliction of duty by the Congress. Right. But what about the American people?
Right.
The American people should be saying, and I think they are, I think they're starting to say this, and they're pretty annoyed by Congress always capitulating to the president.
You know,
Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Wednesday, March 23rd, 2011, and I'm Darko. This is part 3. Welcome to part 3 of this news bulletin, everyone. Please visit my website, www.ggnonline.com. That's ggnonline.com. I have a new poll up here. You can check that out about, do you support the military operations that include the removal of Muammar Gaddafi, instituting a no-fly zone, embargo, sanctions, and or ground troops. You can subscribe FeedBurner down here. And check out my first video for more information. I'm going to keep moving here. Portugal's Prime Minister quits after debt-cutting plan nixed. This is kind of breaking news as of right now. I can't move that right now, but it says here, debt-stressed Portugal's Prime Minister says he has to quit after opposition parties scuppered his proposals devised to avoid a bailout. So you see, guys, that's what I'm talking about. This guy was actually a good guy, I think, man. I mean, yeah, there's going to be austerity measures, but at the same time, they're going to avoid a bailout. Now, see, in the U.S., we had austerity measures, but we also had a bailout. They're trying to avoid the bailout because they know what that implies. That means you're basically putting yourself into financial servitude to the central banks. And so it's a big loss for Portugal, big loss. Organic poultry far less prone to salmonella than conventional study finds. TSA to retest airport body scanners that reports expose extreme radiation safety violations, says after repeatedly refusing to publicly release safety reports for its airport x-ray machines and naked body scanners, even after lawmakers order the release. The TSA now says that the same reports are flawed anyways. TSA insists data showing that some naked body scanners emit as much as 10 times more radiation than normal is a, quote, math error, and that a retest will be required to obtain accurate results. Then we have, why do clinical trials exclude depressed people? And it says when the U.S. Food and Drug Administration announced in 2009 that Pfizer Incorporated smoking cessation drug Chantix would need to carry a restrictive black box warning label, the move didn't really surprise the market. The drug sales had already been declining. And it says here, by the end of 2009, they had dropped to $700 million, down from $846 million the previous year. And says here, there was reports that side effects started coming in. And it says the FDA's response comes after hundreds of reports of erratic behavior and several suicides. Now Pfizer faces a civil lawsuit involving at least 1,200 patient complaints. And this is basically the gist of the story. In retrospect, experts say all of this could have been avoided or at least predicted had the company's clinical trials had been designed differently. Pfizer tested Chantix on thousands of smokers in order to get FDA approval, but the clinical trials excluded people with depression, and it came to find that more than 40% of smokers are depressed compared to just 7% of the general population, according to statistics from the Center CDC, basically. Check that out. Links will be posted, most of them, if not all. Sorry about that, there's just not enough room, but unlocking chronic fatigue syndrome, and I don't even think that this is accepted by the mainstream pharma health industry, this chronic fatigue syndrome, which plagues a lot of people. I have my own theories. You know, you have this one, case of the daily headache. The chronic head pain is still a mystery, but habits spur onset. Well, I'll give you my theory, right? This is barium. And this is what's causing fatigue. Go in there and look up barium poison, and you'll see fatigue. You can look up this case of, I don't know if you can look this up. This is just my own opinion, so it's speculation, my own theory. So, case of daily headache, my theory, it's radio wave bombardment. You're being bombarded by ELS constantly, 24/7. I recommend checking out Stuart Swirlo and checking out some of the things that you can do to protect yourself. You may think it's hokey or crazy, and I'm not really sure if reptilian aliens exist, but he was part of Project Montauk, and he was a lab rat, and now he's trying to help people protect themselves from being, under extreme programming, which we all are under programming, some more than other, but there are things that you can do. So you can check out a site, www.expansions.com, and he'll help you do some techniques that can help you block out some of these ELFs. Trust me, they work, guys. I've sat in my chair with headaches, and I started to put myself in a little violet three-sided pyramid, and instantly it went away. Now, I don't know if it's all psychosomatic, but I do think that there's some credence to it. So anyways, you're going to move on here. And that's happened with other things too, where I put myself in that violet pyramid, and basically it takes away whatever weird ailments I'm getting. And it says here, beware of fraudulent dietary supplements, warns the FDA. And who the heck is the FDA to warn people about fraudulent dietary supplements? And it goes in there and it talks about labeling ingredients, and the whole thing's a scam and a fraud. And they are a fraud themselves. They protect the pharmaceutical companies and that. And every once in a while, they'll bust and do a little shakedown because, well, they have to act as if they're legitimate, right? Popular drug has unacceptable side effects. Why? Because the FDA passes it. And plastic surgery live causes controversy, just like autopsy live. People don't like to see that. 500 million Chinese infected with TB or tuberculosis. China orders probe into fake bath products for kids. And they said they have ordered a serious investigation into 2 kinds of bath products that reportedly gave children skin diseases. And then we move on, chemicals in plastic linked to early onset of menopause, which is interesting because these BPA in plastics actually cause young people to hit puberty earlier, and now they hit the menopause earlier. And then if you go one step further, they're probably going to die earlier of cancer. God, dude. California mother arrested for encouraging minor son to fight. California mother has been arrested after a video posting on YouTube showed the mother encouraging her son to beat up another boy. And for whatever it's worth, I don't know what happened here, so I'm not going to support or bash this woman, but I do know that there was a bully that was bullying this Australian kid. I'm sure all of you have already seen the video, and he basically punched and body slammed the dude after being repeatedly bullied by them and stood up for himself. So I support that. I don't know what was going on in this story, but this is a good story to cover up the actual legitimate story in Australia. Carbon programs failing, says report, and it's why is it failing? It says most government programs designed to cut greenhouse gases emissions over the past 15 years has significantly failed to do so. Why? Because the freaking people don't want it. Medical Center Healthcare, press release, SBU Pharmacology researchers uncover new role for mitochondria during RNA processing. And the point of this story, why I covered it or included it, was because they're experimenting. They want to see how to basically make sure that they can lower the population. These people are eugenicists. It says furthering the research, the team genetically engineered mice who lack the gene mitoPLD, which is what they're all talking about in here. They found the mice to be normal, except the males that were infertile. No effect has been seen on the field for fertility. So what will they do? They'll try to incorporate that into society, right? Well, they put BPA into plastic or whatever, right? Do we really need dads? And then so you go in there, and absolutely, in an ideal world, all children would grow up, both male and female adults, to care for them. But in the absence of a father figure who might be a close male relative or family friend can do the job just as well. It just takes time. And the point of this article, as far as why I included it, is because it kind of gives us a little more evidence that the powers that be do want to destroy the family structure, the traditional family structure. I just think that is basically a strategic way of taking people's power away. And the family is the most powerful unit. And if they can destroy that, they can destroy society and the individual. And then we have this. MRI scans lead to unnecessary breast cancer. And study shows how radiation causes breast cancer. And breast cancer rates soar after mammograms, and some cancers may heal naturally. New study says breast cancer deaths lower in areas without mammograms, and new nuclear imaging technology causes breast cancer. Please join me in the fourth and final part. This is GGN, and I'm Darko. Thank you.